All right, let's talk about the journey of technology in the workplace. Journey that's reshaped, redefined, and sometimes even downright revolutionized how we work, think, and connect. Imagine going back in time just a few decades ago when people were pounding away at typewriters, shuffling through mountains of paperwork, or taking calls from corded phones with those long, curly wires. Every task was manual, laborious, and let's face it, slow. Now fast forward to today. We're living in an era where a message can cross the globe in a second, where our phones are more powerful than the computers that sent people to the moon, and where a single email can replace hours of paper-based communication. It's like we're standing on the edge of a world that's been made faster, more efficient, and more connected than ever before. And it's all thanks to this relentless march of technology. But the real question I want us to dive into here isn't just about what technology can do, but about how it's changing us as people. Think about the early days of automation in factories, where machines began to replace human hands. It was this massive shift. Suddenly, workers were moving from crafting items one at a time to managing assembly lines, where everything was streamlined and automated. It was a complete transformation, and with it came both the promise of higher productivity and the anxiety of job loss. People weren't sure what would come next. And here we are again today in a moment where technology is reshaping our lives, but this time in ways we couldn't have imagined. The workplace has shifted so much, and it's happening so fast. It's not just about the tools we use, but about who we are becoming as we adapt to these tools. Now, let's get real. Technology didn't just walk into our lives and make everything easier overnight. There was a process, a journey that brought us here, and it's filled with milestones. Think about the arrival of the personal computer. Suddenly, people didn't need to have specialized skills or access to big machines to work with data or create documents. Democratized work, allowing anyone with one of those clunky machines to start being a creator, a manager, a communicator. And with each new advancement, email, the internet, cloud storage, and a door opened, changing the landscape yet again. Each one of these technologies has brought its own unique mix of benefits and challenges, changing the pace of our work, our expectations, and honestly, even our stress levels. But the biggest impact, that's got to be connectivity. We're more connected than ever before. People used to have to be in the same room, the same office, or even the same building to work together effectively. Now, you can hop on a video call, share a document in real time, or send a message halfway across the world in an instant. This connectivity has shrunk the world. In an instant, this connectivity has shrunk the world. It's allowed us to collaborate with anyone at any time. And with that has come a level of productivity and efficiency that would have been impossible just a few years ago. But this same connectivity has a flip side. It's also blurred the lines between our personal and professional lives, creating an always on culture where it feels like the workday never truly ends. I mean, think about it. When was the last time you fully, completely disconnected from work? We're always within reach, always connected, and in some ways, always working. And here's another twist. While technology has made our work lives easier in many ways, it's also made them a lot more demanding. There's this strange paradox where even though tasks are becoming faster, expectations keep rising. Suddenly, what would have taken a week to complete has to be done in a day, maybe even an hour. Deadlines are shorter, responses are expected instantly, and our attention is constantly being pulled in a million directions. There's no question that technology has amped up the speed of everything, but it's also made our jobs more complex, more challenging, and honestly, more overwhelming. It's like we're all part of this giant experiment, seeing just how far we can push ourselves, how much we can handle, and how fast we can adapt to these changes. So as we kick off this exploration into how technology has transformed our workplaces, I want you to keep one question in mind. Are we driving this technological shift, or is it driving us? Are we using technology to better our work lives, or are we slowly becoming slaves to it, letting it shape our routines, our expectations, even our identities? It's a fine line, and it's a line that each of us has to walk every single day. We're on the front lines of a new era, navigating a world where technology is deeply embedded in everything we do. And as we move forward, we're not just shaping the future of work. We're shaping the future of how we live, connect, and ultimately who we are. So let's dive in and see where this journey is taking us, and maybe, just maybe, figure out how we can take the reins and shape it in a way that works for us, not against us. All right, let's dive deeper into the impact technology has had on our day. Today, work environments, both in the office and on the factory floor. It's honestly amazing when you think about how far we've come in such a short amount of time. Picture an office from the 1980s. People were shuffling paper, answering phones that never stopped ringing, and filing away mountains of documents by hand. There were file cabinets everywhere, and the closest thing to technology was probably a fax machine that took forever to send a single page. But that world has completely changed. Today, many of us walk into workspaces where everything's digital. Desks are cleaner, less cluttered with physical stuff, but more cluttered with digital demands. Instead of stacks of paper, we've got screens, notifications, and endless emails. And it's not just the office. Think about the factory floor. Back in the day, factory work meant long hours of manual labor, steady rhythm of physical tasks that had to be performed by hand. Workers had their roles, their routines, and for the most part, things moved at a manageable pace. Then came the machines, the big, loud, automated equipment that changed everything. Machines took over the repetitive tasks, and suddenly production skyrocketed. Things could be done faster, more accurately, and at a scale we'd never seen before. But with these machines came new challenges. Workers went from being the hands on operators to becoming the overseers, the troubleshooters, and the tech managers. Instead of doing the work themselves, they had to keep an eye on the machines doing the work. It was a whole new skill set, a whole new way of thinking about labor. And here's the thing, automation didn't stop there. It kept evolving. Today, we're looking at factories with robots and systems that not only do the heavy lifting, but also have the ability to think, analyze, and even make decisions. Robots are so advanced now that they can sort, assemble, package, and even monitor quality without much human intervention. It's like something out of a sci-fi movie, but it's real. And while this level of automation has brought incredible efficiency, it's also led to a lot of questions. Where do humans fit in when machines can do most of the tasks? What happens to the skills we used to need? Skills like craftsmanship, attention to detail, and manual dexterity. Are we losing something fundamental as we hand over more and more responsibility to technology? In the office, the story's not much different. Think about what computers did for the white-collar worker. Suddenly, tasks that would have taken hours or even days could be done in minutes. Spreadsheets could calculate massive amounts of data. With a few clicks, documents could be edited in real time, and communication could happen instantly across the globe. Email replaced letters, video calls replaced face-to-face meetings and file sharing apps replaced physical documents. It's incredible, right? But this convenience also came with a price. With everything becoming faster, the pace of work exploded. Expectations rose. If you could do something in minutes, suddenly that became the new standard. If you could respond to emails instantly, then why weren't you always on call? It's like we got trapped in this cycle of faster, and no one really thought about what that would mean for us, for our mental health, for our personal lives. Technology has also made work more complex. Before, most people had specific roles with specific tasks. You went to work, did your job, and went home. Now we're expected to wear multiple hats, to be constantly learning and adapting to new tools, platforms, and systems. One day, you're using one piece of software, and the next day, it's been replaced by something faster, smarter, more efficient. There's this constant pressure to keep up, to learn, to adapt, and while that can be exciting, it's also exhausting. There's always this sense that you're one step behind, that you need to learn the next thing or risk becoming obsolete. It's a level of pressure that can really weigh on you if you're not careful. Let's not forget how technology has also impacted our sense of connection in the workplace. Back in the day, people would gather around the water cooler, chat in the break room, and build those real personal connections. It was part of the office culture, part of what made work enjoyable. But now with so much work happening remotely and through screens, those personal connections are harder to maintain. We're communicating through emails, instant messages, and video calls, but it's just not the same. There's something missing, something human. Sure, we're more connected than ever in a digital sense, but are we actually connecting? Are we building real relationships, or are we just moving pixels around and on a screen? It's a strange paradox where technology is supposed to bring us closer, yet somehow it feels like it's driving us apart. As we look at these changes, I think it's important to ask ourselves, what do we want from technology in our workspaces? How do we use it in a way that enhances our work experience without taking away what makes work meaningful? Because at the end of the day, work is more than just tasks and productivity. It's about purpose, it's about connection, and it's about growth. Technology can help us get there, but only if we're mindful of how we use it. If we let it, technology will keep pushing us toward speed, efficiency, and endless innovation. But maybe, just maybe, we need to pause and think about how we can push back, how we can make sure technology serves us and not the other way around. All right, let's get into something that feels like it's straight out of a science fiction story, but it's very real and happening right now. Artificial intelligence, or AI, and how it's completely changing the nature of work. Think about it. I isn't just some abstract concept anymore. It's not just this futuristic idea. It's here, it's real, and it's making decisions right alongside us in the workplace. Now, a few years back, I was mainly something you'd hear about in movies, maybe read about in tech journals, but today it's woven into our lives, into our jobs, in ways we can't always see but definitely feel. We're talking about software that can predict patterns, analyze vast amounts of data, automate tedious tasks, and even interact with customers on our behalf. And it has gone from being this one day, maybe idea, to being part of our everyday work environment, and the effects of that shift are huge. Let's look at some examples. You've got chatbots handling customer service, answering questions, and even helping to troubleshoot basic issues. It's like all of a sudden there's a digital assistant ready to handle inquiries 24, never getting tired, never losing its cool. Then there's the data side of things. I can crunch numbers, analyze trends, and spit out insights faster than any human ever could. It's giving companies a new level of awareness and insight. Imagine having a team of analysts who work around the clock, constantly processing data and finding patterns, helping to make decisions that could impact everything from inventory levels to marketing strategies. And it does this without the need for breaks or sleep. It's relentless and it's powerful. But here's the thing. Isn't just a tool. It's almost like a new kind of coworker that's incredibly capable, but also a little unpredictable. There's a lot of talk about how AI is taking over repetitive, boring tasks. And sure, that's happening. but it's also changing the very nature of what we do at work. When you've got an AI that can handle all the number crunching, the data analysis, or even basic decision making, what does that leave for us? What becomes our role? In some ways, it's freeing us up to do more creative, human-centered tasks. Things like problem solving, brainstorming, innovating, stuff that requires imagination, empathy, and intuition. But on the flip side, it's also pushing us into a space where we're managing machines more than we're actually doing the work ourselves. We're becoming overseers, checking on the AI's work, making sure it's on track. And that can feel strange, almost like we're losing touch with the very essence of our work. Now, I think it's important to consider how AI is affecting different industries in different ways. Mm-hmm. In healthcare, for example, I can analyze medical images, helping doctors to diagnose diseases faster and more accurately. That's incredible. It's life-changing, actually. In finance, algorithms are making complex trades, spotting market trends, and managing portfolios. In retail, is predicting customer behavior, optimizing supply chains, and even determining pricing, supply chains, and even determining pricing. It's like every industry is being touched by AI, and in each case, it's doing something that was once purely human. So here's the big question. Is it here to assist us, to make us better at our jobs, or is it gradually replacing us, taking over the parts of work that used to require human touch? And there's this other angle too, which is trust. I might be fast, accurate, and incredibly efficient, but it's not perfect. There's always this underlying concern. What if it gets something wrong? What if there's a flaw in the code, a misinterpretation of data, or a biased algorithm that leads to unfair outcomes? Yeah, and the truth is, it happens. Isn't infallible. We're already seeing cases where has made mistakes that have real, sometimes serious consequences. That's why human oversight is so crucial. We need to stay involved, to keep a watchful eye on what AI is doing, to step in and make sure it aligns with our values, our ethics, and our goals. But even with oversight, there's this uncomfortable reality that we're handing over more control than ever before, and it's not always clear where the line is between helping us and potentially hurting us. Then there's the impact on jobs. We can't ignore the fact that as I takes on more responsibilities, there's a ripple effect on employment. Mm-hmm. Jobs that were once essential are becoming automated, and that creates a lot of uncertainty. People wonder if their skills will be relevant in the future, if there will be a place for them in a world where is doing so much. This shift is forcing us to rethink education, training, and the skills we value. It's no longer enough to just know how to do the job. Now, we have to know how to work alongside machines, to understand how to use as a tool, and to continually adapt as the technology evolves. It's like the rules of the game keep changing, and we have to stay sharp just to keep up. So as we think about the role of in our workplaces, we have to ask ourselves some tough questions. Are we ready for a world where machines make more decisions than we do? Can we find a balance where is a partner, not a replacement? And most importantly, how do we make sure that as AI becomes more powerful, we don't lose sight of our humanity, of what makes us unique? Because at the end of the day, work is more than just productivity and output. It's about creativity, empathy, connection. It's about being human. I can do a lot, but I can't replicate that. So maybe instead of racing to see how much I can take over, we should be asking ourselves how we can keep what makes us human in a world that's increasingly run by machines. It's a question that doesn't have an easy answer, but it's one we have to keep asking as we move forward into this new era. All right, let's talk about one of the biggest shifts in how we work, remote work, and the rise of mobile technology. It's a massive change, and it's been happening right under our noses for years, but recently it just took off. Think about it. There was a time not too long ago when working from home was a rare privilege. Maybe something you do if you were sick or had a personal emergency. but now it's become almost normal for many of us. Thanks to mobile technology, we're able to take our work with us wherever we go. Whether you're at home, in a coffee shop, or halfway around the world, you can still check your emails, attend meetings, collaborate with your team, and get things done. It's like we've got these digital offices in our pockets, always within reach. Now, on one hand, this flexibility is incredible. The ability to work from anywhere gives us so much freedom, and it's changed what work, life balance can actually look like. You can live where you want, spend more time with family, avoid the long commutes, and work in an environment that you find comfortable and inspiring. For a lot of people, this shift has been life-changing. It's allowed people to reconnect with their personal lives, to be more present at home, to pursue hobbies, and to just have more control over their schedules. But there's a flip side to this freedom, and it's something we're only just beginning to understand. When work can happen anywhere, anytime, it can feel like work is happening all the time. Suddenly, the line between work and personal life is completely blurred, and it can feel like you're never really off. You might find yourself checking emails before bed, taking calls on the weekend, or feeling guilty for not responding instantly. It's like we're always on, always reachable, and that constant accessibility can start to feel like a burden. And here's the thing about remote work. While it offers flexibility, it can also lead to a sense of isolation. In a traditional office, you've got coworkers around you. You can drop by someone's desk to ask a quick question, grab lunch with a teammate, or chat in the break room. There's this built-in social aspect that can make work feel more connected, more human. But when you're working remotely, especially if you're doing it full-time, you lose a lot of that. Video calls and instant messaging can help bridge the gap, but it's just not the same. There's no real substitute for face-to-face interaction, for those spontaneous moments that help build camaraderie and trust. So while remote work can be great for productivity and focus, it can also make us feel disconnected from the team, like we're working in silos instead of as part of a community. Mobile technology has also opened up new possibilities, but it's brought its own set of challenges. With a smartphone or laptop, you can work from practically anywhere, and that's amazing. But it's also a double-edged sword. Being able to work from anywhere means it's harder to unplug. You're no longer tied to a specific place or time, which can make it hard to establish boundaries. Even on vacations, people feel the pull to check their phones, respond to messages, or just handle one quick thing. It's like we're always tethered to work, even when we're supposed to be relaxing. And that constant connection can start to wear us down over time. The stress builds up, the mental fatigue kicks in, and before you know it, you're feeling burned out. And let's talk about security and privacy, because that's a huge part of working remotely and on mobile devices. When we're in a traditional office, the company's IT team can handle security. They set up firewalls, monitor networks, and make sure everything's secure. But when you're working from home or a public place, it's not that simple. You're connecting to different Wi-Fi networks, accessing company data from personal devices, and all of that introduces new risks. We've all heard stories of data breaches, and they're not just happening to big corporations. Small businesses, freelancers, anyone who's handling sensitive information is at risk. It's made us realize that as amazing as mobile technology is, we have to be incredibly careful with how we use it. We have to be vigilant about security because the consequences of a mistake can be huge. So here we are in a world where work has become more flexible, more mobile, and more accessible than ever before. And while it's brought us freedom, it's also brought new challenges that we have to navigate. We have to find a way to set boundaries, to protect our privacy, and to stay connected with our teams. Even when we're miles apart, Remote work and mobile technology have given us a glimpse of what the future of work could look like. A future where location doesn't limit us, where we can work in ways that align with our lives, our families, our goals. But as we move forward, we have to ask ourselves, how do we keep this balance? How do we enjoy the freedom without letting it consume us? It's a challenge, and it's one that we're all figuring out together, because in this new world of work, there's no roadmap. We're all pioneers exploring what's possible, pushing the boundaries of what work can be, and hopefully finding a way to make it work for us instead of the other way around. All right, now we're looking ahead, staring down the road at what the future of work could become as technology continues to evolve and reshape everything we know. It's kind of mind-blowing when you really think about it, right? 10, 20 years ago, we couldn't have predicted half of the things we're experiencing now. Automation, remote work, digital offices in our pockets. And now as we peer into the future, we're left with this sense of possibility, but also a bit of uncertainty, maybe even a little fear. Where is all of this headed? Are we moving toward a world where technology will continue to elevate and empower us, or are we slowly drifting into a reality where our skills, our humanity might not have the same value they used to? One thing's for sure, the pace of change isn't slowing down. If anything, it's speeding up. We're already seeing technologies that seem like science fiction. Systems that can learn, robots that can interact with people, machines that can make decisions and even teach themselves to get better at tasks. And in the future, this technology will likely be even more advanced, more integrated into every aspect of our work. Imagine offices where it does most of the heavy lifting, where robots handle tasks with a level of precision and speed that humans just can't match. Imagine remote work that's fully immersive with virtual reality, where you put on a headset and instantly step into a virtual office with your colleagues, no matter where they are in the world. It sounds futuristic, almost surreal, but we're not as far off from that reality as it might seem. But with all of these advancements come new questions, big ones. If I and robots are doing the bulk of the work, what's left for us? What happens to the jobs that have been the backbone of society? The ones that don't require advanced degrees or specialized skills? As much as we love the idea of a world where technology handles the mundane tasks, we have to recognize that this shift could disrupt millions of jobs, leaving people feeling displaced and uncertain about where they fit in. It's not just about losing jobs. It's about losing the sense of purpose and identity that work provides. For a lot of people, work isn't just about a paycheck. It's about pride, about being part of something, about contributing. And if technology takes over, where do we find that sense of meaning? The future will also demand new skills, and that's another big part of this conversation. We're already seeing a shift toward what's called soft skills, things like creativity, emotional intelligence, critical thinking. These are the skills that machines can't replicate, at least not yet. In a future where technology handles the technical, repetitive tasks, the real value will be in the human skills that are hard to automate. But here's the thing. Are we ready for that? Are we teaching people the skills they'll need for this future? Or are we still stuck in an outdated mindset where we're focused on traditional job skills that may not hold the same value in the years to come? It's a challenge, and it's one that's going to require a complete rethinking of education, of training, of what it means to prepare people for the workforce. And let's talk about what all of this means for society. If technology keeps advancing at this pace, if and automation keep taking over more tasks, there's going to be a growing divide between those who adapt and those who get left behind. We're talking about a potential gap between people who have the skills to thrive in this new economy and those who don't. That's a recipe for inequality, for social tension, for people feeling frustrated, maybe even angry about a world that feels like it's leaving them behind. It's not just about technology. It's about fairness, about making sure everyone has a chance to succeed, to be part of the future. Because if we're not careful, we could end up with a society where technology lifts some people up while leaving others behind. And that's not a future any of us should want. And finally, as we look toward the future, we have to consider the ethics of it all. Just because we can create technology that's powerful, that's capable of amazing things, doesn't necessarily mean we should. We're already facing questions about data privacy, about the moral implications of making decisions, about the impact of automation on people's lives. And as technology becomes more advanced, these questions are only going to get more complex. Who's responsible when an A makes a mistake? What are the limits of automation in jobs that impact people's well-being, like healthcare, education, public safety? And how do we ensure that technology is used responsibly, ethically, in a way that benefits everyone, not just a few? So as we move into this future, we need to keep asking ourselves the hard questions. We need to think about what kind of world we want to build, not just for ourselves, but for future generations. Technology has the potential to make our lives better, to create opportunities we can't even imagine, to solve problems that seem impossible right now. But it's up to us to guide it, to make sure we're steering it in the right direction. This future isn't something that's just happening to us. It's something we're creating step by step, choice by choice. And if we can find a way to embrace technology without losing sight of what makes us human, then maybe, just maybe, we can build a future that's not only innovative, but also fair, ethical, and filled with meaning for everyone. It's a big task, but it's also a chance to shape a world where technology serves us, not the other way around. All right, let's bring this all together. We've journeyed through the impact of technology on our work lives, from the first tools to today's AI-driven world, and we've wrestled with the questions it raises for our future. And now, here we are at the point where we have to ask ourselves, what kind of relationship do we want to have with technology? Are we going to let it dictate the terms, letting it shape us, mold us, and possibly even control us? Or are we going to find a way to make it work for us, to enhance our humanity rather than replace it? Because at the end of the day, it's not really about the technology itself. It's about us, about what we value, about what we're willing to sacrifice, and about what kind of future we're willing to build together. Let's talk about what work really means. Work isn't just about productivity or efficiency. It's about purpose, connection, and identity. It's about that sense of accomplishment we get from overcoming challenges, from learning and growing, from being part of something bigger than ourselves. Technology can enhance all of these things, but only if we're intentional about how we use it. We can let an automation handle the repetitive tasks, the things that don't require our creativity or our empathy, and that's a good thing. It frees us up to focus on the human aspects of work that machines can't replicate. But we have to make that choice consciously. We have to draw boundaries and decide what we're willing to delegate to machines and what we want to keep as our own. The danger comes when we let technology creep into every part of our lives, when we don't put up those boundaries and let it bleed into areas where it doesn't belong. Look around, and you'll see people who are always connected, always on, people who can't go 5 minutes without checking their phones, who feel guilty if they're not constantly productive. We've created a culture that celebrates busyness, that equates constant activity with value, and technology has made it easy for us to stay trapped in that cycle. But here's the thing, that's not a sustainable way to live. It's not healthy, and it's not fulfilling. We're not machines, and if we keep pushing ourselves to live like we are, we're going to lose touch with what it means to be human. And this is where each of us has a role to play. We're the ones in the driver's seat. We're the ones who get to decide how much of our lives we want to give to technology, how much control we're willing to hand over, and how much we want to keep for ourselves. It's a personal decision, but it's also a societal one. We have to set the example to show future generations that it's possible to live with technology without losing ourselves in it. We have to show them that technology is a tool, a powerful, incredible tool, but it's not a substitute for real connection, for purpose, for the joy of doing something meaningful with our lives. In the end, this isn't about resisting technology or rejecting progress. It's about balance. It's about finding a way to embrace innovation while still holding on to our humanity. It's about asking ourselves the tough questions. What do we really value? What kind of future do we want to build? And how do we make sure that as we move forward, we're creating a world where technology serves us, not the other way around? Because we have a choice. We can let technology lead, or we can take the lead ourselves. We can let it shape us, or we can shape it. And if we make that choice with intention, with wisdom, with respect for what makes us human, then maybe we can create a future that's not just technologically advanced, but also deeply meaningful. So as we wrap up this conversation, I want to leave you with a thought. What would it look like to live in a world where we use technology to lift each other up, to connect, to create, to find purpose? What if we could harness the power of innovation without sacrificing our own humanity in the process? It's possible, but it's going to take awareness, discipline, and willingness to push back against the tide every now and then. It's going to take each of us deciding in our own way to prioritize what truly matters. Because in the end, technology is just a tool. It's up to us to decide what we're building with it. And that, my friends, is the real challenge and the real opportunity. That lies ahead. Let's make it count.